Just because a person has the ability to become pregnant does not mean that they should be forced to become a mother.
The value of every human being is not determined by whether or not we are wanted, but because we are created beings made in the image of God.
Fiery debate underway at the Iowa State Capitol. Right now, Republican lawmakers are poised to pass their bill to ban abortion after cardiac activity is detected. It comes as people on both sides of the abortion debate pack the Capitol rotunda. Lawmakers have until 11 o'clock tonight to approve a bill that bans most abortions once there is a, quote, detectable fetal heartbeat. Doctors say cardiac activity generally happens around 6 weeks of pregnancy. The law does make exemptions in the case of rape, incest, fetal abnormality, and medical emergencies. We have team coverage of today's special session. We start with KCCI Chief Political Reporter Amanda Rooker, who has been following the debate inside the House and Senate chambers. Amanda.
Stacy, Senate lawmakers are voting on an amendment right now. Both the Senate and House have been debating this bill for more than 2 hours now, and it's been a long day here at the State House. They introduced this bill early this morning. They're already at the point of debate. This bill is advancing very quickly, but we're in for a long night of continued heated debate. Here's a live look at the House right now at some of that debate. Right now, you're looking at Representative Art Stade from Cedar Rapids, one of the many Democrats and Republicans have also offered heavy, tense, emotional debate on the Senate floor. Lawmakers themselves sharing their own stories and those of friends, family members, and constituents having abortions. Both sides arguing that the outcome of tonight's vote will either save or end lives. Republicans argue the bill protects the unborn and that exceptions make sure that women experiencing a miscarriage or dealing with a medical emergency will still get needed care. But Democrats argue the bill would put pregnant women in danger, that it goes against what the majority of Iowans want and puts government restrictions on a woman's body. Both sides today have mentioned a nearly identical 2018 law that was permanently blocked by the Iowa State Supreme Court just last month.
Iowans have told us time and time again that they do not want us to pass extreme abortion bans. And yet, here we are. Just a few weeks ago, the Iowa Supreme Court cautioned us against treating women with less deference than a garbage can. But we're here today to do just that.
Should a poll determine who lives and who dies? I mean, how would you feel if 51% of the people thought you should lose your life? And then they asked, will you represent us? Well, my question is, who will represent the baby?
And that poll that was just mentioned there comes from a Des Moines Register March poll that found 61% of Iowans favor keeping abortion legal. Again, that poll from March. Well, right now, Democrats are offering significant numbers of amendments to try to expand some of the exceptions in this bill. They don't have enough votes to block this bill, but they do have time to debate and offer some changes. So far, none of those changes have been made and all of those amendments have failed. Our Ophelia Jacobson is also live here tonight at the State House. She's been watching some of the reaction from crowds. Ophelia, over on the House side of things, we heard some people in the gallery actually clap and applaud while lawmakers were talking on the floor. What's happening over on the Senate side of things?
Yeah, Amanda, I was sitting in the Senate chamber as they were debating this bill, state senators going page by page, amendment by amendment. We saw some protesters sitting quietly in that chamber in the galleries, but out here in the rotunda, very few, if any, protesters left. And now that's a stark contrast to what this place looked like earlier today. Take a look at the footage our cameras caught this morning. Tensions and emotions were running high as protesters voiced their opinions about this bill. The State House was definitely more saturated with abortion advocates than anti-abortion advocates. Different organizations had tables set up here. Most of those are packed up now. A couple of protesters have dedicated their whole day to being here, arriving early this morning and staying throughout the day. Both sides say they're in this fight for the long haul.
Now is the time that we need to move forward after our Supreme Court ruling. I think that we are very grateful that the legislature is moving forward with this special session because this is a life and death situation.
I am fully disabled, And I feel like, as somebody who's in a marginalized community, I try to fight for other individuals in marginalized communities, and I feel like this is a fight about human rights, and everybody deserves human rights.
KCCI will be here all night tracking the progress of this bill as well as reaction from people here at the State House. Amanda and I will have more updates for you tonight at 9 and 10. Stacy?
Ophelia Jacobson, Amanda Rooker live at the State House. Thank you.